love all of these girls, okay? I love them all dearly. They are all my mom, and they're all also my daughter. They're all my big sister, whose lipstick and magazines I borrow, but she gets bullied at school, so I have to stand up for her. So there's a little bit of a role reversal that complicates, but ultimately enriches the family dynamic. I love them all so much. I don't love them all equally. Bearing in mind that when I think things, I don't have opinions, I have factually correct observations about the world around me. If I like some of these girls more than the others, it would imply that, well, some of them are better than others, which leads you to wonder who is on top. I do have a favorite Disney princess. It is, of course, Ariel. I will give you all a second to gasp in surprise. But the question I found myself pondering of late is the age-old question: which Disney princess would win in a fight? This question has really confounded scholars for years, and it seems to continue to confound people because you can find answers to this question. Plenty of people have asked this question, and if you look on the internet, plenty of people have answered it, and they've answered it with great confidence, and they are all, every single one of them, wrong. However you word this question, which Disney princess is coming out on top in a fight or physical competition, everybody says Elsa. Everybody says Elsa of Arendelle, and I kind of get why you would say that, because who's going to be able to take out Elsa when she has magical powers? They call what Elsa has ice powers. She has ice powers, and that's just not a good description of Elsa's magic. She has phenomenal cosmic power, as they say. She can alter, like, the climate, like, on a cosmological scale. She can alter the world around them. She can manipulate materials and matter other than ice. And she can also create life. She can create life. Elsa has the light of creation within her. She has ridiculous god-tier powers that just happen to be ice-themed a lot of the time. Ice is just like the flavor. It's just like the flair. It doesn't make any sense to call this literal deity of their world just a girl with ice powers. Yeah, so Elsa's powerful. Elsa's powerful. She has magic powers, so I understand why you would think she would beat these other girls in a fight. But I asked the question, which Disney princess would win in a fight? And Elsa is not, and has never been, a Disney princess. If you have heard me rant before, you're probably very familiar with this, but for anybody new, I do need to point out that Disney princess means something. If I'm gonna ask questions about the Disney princess, let's define our terms. Disney princess as a term of art, capital P, Disney princess is distinct from Disney plus princess, okay? Plenty of ladies in Disney movies are princesses in their stories that aren't Disney princesses. And vice versa. There are some girls in the Disney princess line that are really not princesses. The concept of a Disney princess, lowercase p, has been around for decades. But if you are my age or older, I was born in 1996, if you're my age or older, congratulations, you are older than Disney princess. The year people generally point to for the beginning of the Disney Princess brand is 2000, although there seems to be some evidence that it was in the works as early as the 90s, and maybe it was out then. The beginning is a little fuzzy, but definitely by the mid-2000s, we have this thing called Disney Princess, which is a merchandising brand that becomes a monster that takes over the world. Disney Princess is a merchandising brand. It is not a series of movies. I will colloquially refer to a Disney Princess movie because that's a movie that a Disney Princess comes from, but that's not really the relationship. What's really going on in this brand is specific characters have been plucked out of their narrative of origin and repackaged in a set with other Disney princesses as a new thing. Disney Princess Ariel is kind of Ariel from The Little Mermaid. She comes from Ariel from The Little Mermaid, but she's different. She's her own being now. A good visualization of this at the time this video is being made is Moana. If you go to any decently large toy aisle that has a lot of Disney stuff, you will probably see Disney Princess Moana, and she'll be in packaging that looks like the other Disney Princess dolls. She will say Disney Princess on her packaging, and you will probably also find Moana from the Disney movie Moana 2. She might look almost exactly the same as the Disney Princess Moana, but she might be wearing her outfit specific to the sequel, she might look slightly different, and her packaging won't call her a Disney princess, it'll call her the character Moana from Moana 2. I cannot emphasize enough that this is a made-up category with no set rules of admission. So when I tell you who the Disney princesses are, capital P, as I am about to do, don't shoot the messenger. Don't get mad at me. I don't think it makes any sense either. But here we are. We do have a set lineup of the Disney princesses. These are the characters that are allowed to be part of the brand and nobody else. And just because there are no external rules or criteria for getting into this brand, that doesn't mean that Disney does not enforce its rules on its merchandising. Disney runs this thing as a tight ship. So the good news is I know exactly who I'm working with this video. I'm working with the official Disney princesses, which you can find on the official Disney Princess website. But don't look it up yet. Let's play a little game. Let's do a little exercise. I'm going to give you 1 minute. I feel like that's plenty of time. I'm going to give you 1 minute. There are 13 official Disney princesses. Please, if you will kindly, list them all. If you want some brownie points, go ahead and put your list in the comments and hit send before you continue with the video. And don't cheat. I'll know. I'll know. Start a timer for 1 minute.
1 minute, starting now.
Alexa, stop. Very good. That was Alexa. Stop. All right. Did you press send? You got it? You got a list? Are you missing one? You forgot Merida, didn't you? Everybody says they love Merida so much. Oh my gosh, Merida, my heart, she's so amazing. But when Merida gets left off of Disney Princess merch, nobody notices. Nobody notices. Nobody can tell who it is that's missing. Everybody forgets Merida. And I think you're all liars. I think you're all liars for saying how much you love her. Let's review them all so you can see who you might have missed, okay? We've got Snow White, Cinderella, Aurora, Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, Pocahontas, Mulan, Tiana, Rapunzel, Merida, Moana, Raya. That last one is Raya from Raya and the Last Dragon from 2021. And if you were missing any of them, I think there's a very good chance you were missing Raya because nobody knows that this girl is a Disney princess because it doesn't make any sense for her to be a Disney princess, but here she is. I have nothing against her. I think Raya is perfectly fine. I think she's a solid character. She works well in her movie of origin. I just think she makes no sense with this brand. But it's not up for me to decide. So this is our lineup. These are the official capital P Disney princesses, and for the purposes of our video today, these are the only people I'm talking about. We're not talking about Anna and Elsa. Frozen is a separate franchise from Disney Princess, and Disney is very strict about not allowing crossover. We are also not talking about characters like Esmeralda, or Tinkerbell, or Jane Porter, who you might remember as being Disney princesses because for a brief moment, they either were princesses or were potential princesses in the first couple years of the brand. There was a little bit of fuzziness there. They were trying different girls out before they really solidified a lineup. So it's very reasonable if you incorrectly think that they should be in the lineup. They might have been at one time. They're not now. They don't get to be in the video. No Elena of Avalor here. No Sophia the First. No girl from Atlantis. Nobody from Encanto. These are the princesses. I don't make the rules. I will enforce them. So these are our fighters, okay? Choose your fighter. Some people, some very silly people, might say this question is weird because it doesn't look like most of these girlies can really fight. But these characters are a lot more violent than you might remember. There's no gore, there's no graphic violence in any of these movies, but a lot of them are kind of ready to fight. So we've actually got some skills to work with here. And I have gone on record saying that the 13 Disney princesses together would win in a fight against one single silverback gorilla. Do you even remember that? That was months ago. This is such old news by internet standards by the time I'm making this video. But yeah, the Disney princesses would beat a gorilla. Because the whole silverback gorilla thing, people talk about it as though it's about brute strength, and it's just not. Like, you're never going to beat the gorilla in brute strength, but that doesn't matter because that's not how humans win fights. That's not how humans hunt. Humans are very specifically persistence hunters. The whole thing is that they outlast and outrun the thing they're chasing until it gets so tired that they're able to get it with spears. That's how we get, like, mammoths and stuff. The main determining factor as to whether a group could take down the gorilla or not is their ability to cooperate, to have patience and plan and follow the plan and cooperate. And I think most of the girls in this group can, with a couple of exceptions. Is it possible we'll have a couple casualties? Yes, because some of these girls are stupid. But the good news is that they have Rapunzel, who can literally heal people with her hair.
I have magic hair that glows when I sing.
This is such an overlooked power and makes Rapunzel so powerful on this kind of field that she can heal almost anything, like almost from near total death. It's possible that she can only bring somebody back from death if there's true love involved, but she can definitely heal pretty significant wounds on just like a friend. Now, I can feel some of you trying to correct me about that. First of all, imagine correcting me about Rapunzel. Couldn't be me. And you're either going to tell me that at the end of the movie, well, her hair is cut off so she doesn't have her powers, or there are all these other rules and information about her powers we get from the TV series. And both of those considerations are irrelevant for our purposes today because we are not talking about Rapunzel, the character from Tangled and then the TV show. We are talking about Disney Princess Rapunzel. And Disney Princess Rapunzel has long hair. She has the hair that glows when she sings.
Magic hair that glows when I sing.
Remember our two Moanas? Disney Princess Moana does not know anything about what happens in Moana 2. And for the purposes of this video, neither do I, because it's not relevant unless it comes from their movie of origin. Lots of these girls change over the course of their movie, some of them very dramatically, like, say, Ariel. So how is it that they look? What form and powers do they have in this conversation? They are the Disney princesses, and Disney princesses have a set form. They have the key art. They have their set official art that shows us what they look like as Disney princesses. Y'all are making this way more complicated than it needs to be. How long have I been filming? I've been filming for 34 minutes. Maybe I need to stop scolding other people for making things more complicated? No, it's the children who are wrong. In this discussion, Ariel has legs. If you're trying to parse and figure out exactly what point in their movie of origin these characters are in, you're totally missing the point. They are not from any particular point in their narrative. They have transcended narrative. They have exited their narrative as a more pure, version of themselves. These are the princesses. This video will be using the form of the princesses as they exist in their Disney princess art, as far as, you know, hair length and number of limbs, but I do reserve the right to change their outfits. I'm capricious like that. I have very specific thoughts and feelings about what outfits the Disney princesses should be wearing, and since it doesn't affect anything in this video at all, I'm gonna put them in the outfits that I want. I'm also gonna reserve the right to use the slightly less ugly version of their art. The Disney princesses have used the same basic character design for like 5 or 6 years, but about a year ago, they changed it. They gave everything like a light refresh, and most of the art stayed the same, but they re-rendered the character models in this like hideous faux 3D like AI style. It's not AI, but it looks like AI, which is so much worse. They have this weird like halo glow from the backlight, and their hair looks like hard plastic, and everything's all shiny, and it's gross, and I hate it. And I want them to look cute. They would do the same for me. So this is who we're working with. And if you don't like it, you can, I guess, close the video. That's always allowed. You have that ability. But I think if you were put off by my general vibe, you shut off this video a long time ago. So of these girlies, who would win in a fight? That is obviously way too vague and broad. We need parameters, okay? How much prep time does Batman have and all that? What are the parameters? Let's run some scenarios. As a whole, these girls are shockingly athletic. They have a lot of physical skills. You do have some characters like Belle or Snow White that we don't see doing a lot of physical activity in their movies, but those are definitely in the minority. And even then, they're not completely useless. Like, Snow White does presumably some decently hard work as a maid. She's working out the arms. Ariel is going to have a distinct disadvantage in almost every physical competition because all of the other girls have been in a full human body for their entire lives, so they're pretty experienced in operating it, and Ariel is still pretty new to the whole legs thing.
Look at her!
What she does have going for her are abs for days. If the competition is swimming, okay, if we're just gonna put them in a pool and have them do laps in a swimming race, that's gonna go to Ariel. Some people might say Moana, but Moana actually is not a good swimmer. She doesn't have a lot of experience in the water. The ocean chose her, so she has a spiritual relationship to the ocean, but not to all water. If this were a foot race on land, we would have a lot of strong contenders, but I think Pocahontas is gonna win in a sprint. That girl is fast as hell. If it's not a sprint and it's distance running though, I'm probably gonna have to give the advantage to Raya or Mulan, who are two trained soldiers, and they have a lot more endurance. You know what, let's go through the other Olympic events. Let's see how the competition stacks up. Gymnastics, easy. Rapunzel is winning the all-around gold. She's also winning gold on bars and the balance beam, although I think Raya is probably taking the gold in vault and possibly even for the floor exercise. Raya is also going to win shot put and discus. Obviously, Merida is going to win all your archery events, all of your equestrian events. I'm going to say she's also going to win cycling events. None of these girls, to my understanding, have ever ridden a bicycle, but I think Merida is going to pick it up the fastest. Tennis would be Pocahontas. Table tennis, Rapunzel. Pole vault is going to be won by Jasmine, which might be a little unexpected, but may I remind you
how dangerous Agrabah can be.
She has no reason to be good at that. In fiction, she has no reason to have any capability with that. So that is just pure, raw, untapped talent. And if she gets the right trainer, she's going to be a champion.
I'm a fast learner.
Pocahontas would also win for figure skating, but I think Cinderella is a close second for that. And then Rapunzel after that. Martial arts, that's definitely going to be Mulan or Raya. They are both extensively trained in martial arts. But I think the edge is going to go to Mulan. I think Mulan has a little more experience hand to hand. And I think Mulan is also going to be more willing to work within the constraints of the sport and learn the rules well and follow the rules well. And Raya's going to have a hard time with that. Ooh, curling. That's a team sport, but there's a star. That'll go to Cinderella. Not because of the brooms. Oh, sorry. That'd be so triggering for her. I mean, she does have broom experience, so maybe that will carry over. But mainly it's because my understanding of curling is that it takes just a lot of control. It takes a lot of focus and balance and patience and control. And when those elements are at play, I'm going to give the edge to Cinderella. For the same reason, I think Cinderella is going to do really well in shooting events. She and Merida are going to be neck and neck in a lot of those. So that's how things stack up competitively, if they're competing against each other with very clear set parameters. About half of the girls are doing all the winning, and the other half aren't the best at almost anything. Overall, this is pretty weighted towards the newer princesses, which kind of squares with what you would expect, that over time, the princesses have gotten more athletic, what they do in their movies has gotten more physical, there's been more violence. And even though I didn't give any wins in those events to Moana or Tiana, we do see them in their movies being quite physically capable in a way that you don't necessarily see with Aurora, Snow White. So what's it gonna look like when they go against each other? This is what I promised you. I promised you we'd talk about who would win in a fight. I think the purest form of this question would be what I like to call a fight in a gas station parking lot.
I've fought adults in gas station parking lots with no magic.
This means they're just on asphalt and there is basically no other element of the terrain that we're factoring in. There's no environment to work with. They have no coordination beforehand. They have no help. They have no weapons.
Paved area without help around.
And we have to imagine for this exercise to work that they are all trying, that they are all earnestly trying their best to fight, even though a lot of them have personalities that don't make a lot of sense with that scenario. We're ignoring that for now. I don't think there's any argument that our two trained soldiers are coming out on top. Plenty of these girls can throw hands. I am not calling them weak, but Mulan and Raya have actual years of academy training. In this scenario, I think the edge does go to Raya. I think this scenario favors brute force and just raw ferocity. This is not a situation where Mulan can use her best advantage, which is her tactical brain, where she can use the environment to her advantage, where she can outwit or outplan her opponent. If you're just smashing them together like two action figures, I think Raya comes out on top. I find that answer to be very clear, but also very unsatisfying, because I said at the beginning that to make this scenario work, you have to completely discard the personalities and essentially the character of all of these characters. I don't think those two elements are actually separable. I don't think you can have their personality and their choices and beliefs and character on one hand separated from things like their training, their fighting experience, their ferocity, or even their physical attributes or physical strength. I think they're all part of the same package, and it would be much more satisfying for me to play through a scenario that takes the whole character, the whole picture, the whole princess into account. And don't worry, I have a solution for that. I think this is a job for the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games books are a really intense and profoundly sad exploration of the way that children are dehumanized and exploited in this dystopian system. It's not funny. It's very, very serious. It really explores the inhumanity of consuming violence for entertainment and, acting like it's like some game when it's people's lives. And the people in the Capitol are not good. You're really supposed to hate them for the way that they spend their time, like, talking and discussing these games and, like, predicting or betting on the outcome. And while it makes for exciting reading, it really takes you to task as the reader for the extent to which you get caught up in the competition and start engaging with it as entertainment yourself and lose sight of the bigger picture of how, people's humanity is being stripped away.
Over 100,000 people craning to get a glimpse of this year's tributes.
So anyway, which Disney princess would win the Hunger Games? Because here's the thing, the Hunger Games are actually a very helpful framework for these kind of fictional matchups for two reasons. Number one, because they have very clearly defined parameters. And number two, because they have unwilling participants. Whether these characters would ever put themselves in a situation where they would be in a fight to the death kind of gets dispensed with. They're all here whether they want to be or not. And theoretically, they can choose not to fight, but they're not getting out of the fight, whatever happens. So we have some clear boundaries and parameters that are really helpful. Similar to Katniss's games, I'm picturing that there's a variety in the environment here. So maybe we have some forest, a lake or river, we've got some big water. We've got different elements of the environment that can be used to hide or to survive or exploited in combat. Now, of course, we have gotten some prequel books which show you the games at different points in development. There is a lot of difference. So I'm imagining like late stage Hunger Games, kind of Katniss's era, maybe the last 10 years that the games existed. Otherwise, I think you have too much variability in the world outside the games affecting what happens inside it. Although even in Katniss's era, you can argue that in large part the Hunger Games is won or lost outside the arena.
You really want to know how to stay alive? You get people to like you.
The games do have a performance element. If you're not familiar with the Hunger Games stories, you are probably aware that they are a fight to the death. They have an arena, all of the competitors who are children, they fight to the death, but by this point these games have been around for decades, and the people of the Capitol who are consuming these games, who do not have to put children in the games, they have become totally desensitized to the horror of it, and through a combination of active propaganda and just societal decay, they have come to consume them as extravagant entertainment. This means that the game makers, the people running the game, have an incentive to make the games engaging and entertaining. They want everybody to watch this or it doesn't work well as propaganda. And it means that the people competing have an incentive to also perform well and be engaging and cool to watch, because the game makers allow people in the Capitol to sponsor their favorite tributes.
Water, a knife, or even some matches can mean the difference between life and death. And those things only come from sponsors.
It's just cheating. It's just cheating that they've written into the rules of the game, because the point is not for it to be a fair fight. They're not trying to find the best person. It's in service of the Capitol. So you could argue that the Hunger Games are often won or lost outside the arena before they get there, when the tributes are trying to appeal to the people of the Capitol to show them that they are going to be the best competitor, or maybe they're just the most likable. They get sponsors by being funny or beautiful. It's messed up, man. So when we look at our lineup, a lot of these girls are probably going to be appealing to potential sponsors because they are, in general, very charming and very beautiful. Raya, Mulan, and also Merida are going to display a lot of skills or training that are going to help them a lot in the games, and that's also going to help them get sponsorship. Unfortunately, They are not great with people. Raya especially is really bad with people. She's also very defiant. All of the girls who have a base status of don't tell me what to do are going to be really hard to manage and won't necessarily make a great appeal to the capital, because why would they want to? Merida and Jasmine are probably going to be capital darlings. They'll probably get a lot of sponsorship, and they are well placed to get really good alliances. Alliances are a thing in this game, but I don't think either of them nor Raya are open to any kind of alliance or partnership. I think they will fully reject that. Mulan will. Mulan will see the advantage and be okay with forming a partnership or an alliance if she has to. She is not good in high pressure social situations. She's not a good performer, but she's got stuff, and I think some sponsors will see that. Some of these other girls do want an alliance. They are going to be actively looking to team up with other people because that's just how they are. In particular, Pocahontas, Rapunzel, and Moana right away clump together. I think this trio would get along really well. I think Rapunzel likes how much Moana and Pocahontas know about nature. I think Pocahontas likes Rapunzel because she reminds her of Miko. This trio is really thinking there's strength in numbers, so they're going to scoop up a couple of the other girls that are looking for an alliance but aren't as proactive. So they'll probably scoop up Snow White and Cinderella. And also Tiana. I think Tiana is looking for her blonde bestie. She has a lot in common with Cinderella, and I think she's just gonna want to be in a group, safety in numbers, so she'll join that pack as well. Now, obviously, this group is getting pretty big, and most of them feel good about that because they know there's strength in numbers, but Moana, at least, is thinking far enough ahead to know that there's an obvious problem with that big of an alliance. Moana is gonna pull Mulan into the alliance with the understanding that the two of them are really the main core pair. Now, you might be thinking that some of these girls have survival skills that are going to be really helpful. So obviously Pocahontas has some good like wilderness or in the forest survival skills. I would also say maybe Moana, maybe Snow White. The Hunger Games have a sort of wilderness survival settlement. These games take a long time, days or even weeks. So you do need to be able to get yourself food and water and shelter to be able to make it. Is that going to be a factor? And I think it's not, because I think this is going to take at most 3 days. Let's run the scenario, okay? The games begin with the cornucopia, okay? They put a bunch of goodies, a bunch of supplies and weapons in the center of the circle of tributes, and then they start. You can either run away, which is generally considered to be the smart thing, or you can go big or go home and go and get stuff. But that means you're going to be in this like big scrum, big fight at the very beginning of the games. Raya is going straight to the cornucopia. She is getting her weapons because she is competitive and very confident. So is Merida. Also running into the fray is going to be Jasmine because she's stupid, and Ariel because she sees shiny things and can't help herself. Our big alliance is out of there. They don't want any piece of that, so they're going to run and find a place to hunker down, with the possible exception of our tight two, Mulan and Moana, who might try to stay around the periphery, see if they can snag some supplies or weapons, and then get out of there. They are possibly in danger if Merida is able to get to a bow immediately, but I think they're going to make it out before that happens. Raya obviously comes out on top in the cornucopia brawl. She is proficient with melee weapons and hand-to-hand, and she is faster than the others, so Jasmine and Ariel are out very quickly. If Merida keeps her wits about her, I think she can get a bow, maybe get off a shot or two, and run while Raya is occupied. I believe she can make that happen. So Merida is running to go find some high ground, our big alliance is running to go find a place to make camp, and Belle is also on her own running. Belle is not in the big alliance because Belle does not like other women. So she's going to try to make it on her own. She finds a good spot, immediately makes a fire for herself, thinking herself very, very smart, and the smoke draws Raya over. Raya ices her. Also on night one, Snow White eats something poisonous and dies. The big alliance does a whole kind of state funeral for her and then goes to bed. Moana and Mulan, I think, are not totally abandoning the alliance yet, but they're going to go off a little bit. Maybe they say they'll take first watch and they're going to scout out the area a little bit, get their bearings. And that's day one. That's 4 princesses down. On day 2, Merida is pretty pissed off about how things went at the cornucopia, so she's gonna go stalk Raya. She's out hunting to get Raya and not being subtle or stealthy about it at all. So I think Mulan and Moana are gonna see her pretty easily and take her out from a tree. And Moana and Mulan can both do the math, and they're realizing that besides Raya, it's just them and that big alliance. So they're already at the point where the big alliance is a huge threat. The big alliance is doing pretty good. They've made themselves a decent camp. They're being pretty stealthy. They found some stuff to eat. Rapunzel's just happy to be there. She's just having a good time with her friends. She just wants to be a part of things. Now you might think that I've lost track of Aurora. And that's because I have. But here's the thing. I don't think she gets scooped up in the big alliance with the other 2 classic princesses. I don't think they see her as bringing a whole lot to the table, and she definitely doesn't have the social skills to navigate a group like that. Aurora's been a little bit of a feather in the wind, being buffeted back and forth, and so I think she ends up on her own as well. I don't think she does anything quite as stupid as Belle to get taken out on night 1, but I think by day 2, Raya has found her. She's not doing a good job of fighting, so I think we can consider Aurora no longer a concern. In the big alliance, I think Tiana is doing the math. I think Tiana and Pocahontas are the 2 thinking ahead, doing the math, realizing that this big alliance is not going to serve them for very much longer. I don't see either of them doing something so dishonorable, I guess, as taking out the rest of the camp while they sleep. I think they are going to just leave the others in the middle of the night. One of them will take watch, and then while Cinderella and Rapunzel are sleeping, Pocahontas and Tiana are going to take off. I don't think this is because Tiana or Pocahontas have anything about them that would bond them. I don't know that they're drawn to each other or would be besties. They might like each other, but it's more that they are the 2 that do the math faster than the rest. Unfortunately, while they did the honorable thing in leaving their companions alive, they are very vulnerable now sleeping. So I think Raya is gonna find them and is gonna take them out. But I think Moana and Mulan are not far behind. I think they're going to come across this scene either just as Raya is taking out the 2 sleeping princesses, or while she's looting the bodies. That will be the moment they need to catch her off guard and take out the biggest individual threat, which is Raya, leaving us already with a final 4. We are down to 4 tributes in 2 pairs. None of them were the capital darlings, but all of them I think are getting decent sponsor support, especially Mulan. But all of them are getting enough gifts that I don't think having enough to eat or basic survival elements are that much of a concern, especially only 2 days in. So the situation by day 3 is that Pocahontas and Tiana are kind of on the run, and Mulan and Moana are looking for them. They know they can take the other pair in a fight, so they want to initiate. Pocahontas and Tiana do not want this fight, so they're actually trying to maneuver around, maybe get that pair to split up. And again, somebody is going to start doing the math first, and I think it's going to be Moana. I think Mulan is really focused on the task at hand and feeling really confident in herself and her abilities, and Moana starts figuring, wait a minute, if we take out Pocahontas and Tiana, I can't take Mulan. I've said that Mulan is the tactical brain of the crew, and she really is, but Moana's got some stuff. Moana can create and hatch a plan. She's shown the ability to misdirect. She's shown she can do a sacrifice play. Moana wants to turn this into a chase where Mulan is chasing her. I think she's going to steal one of her weapons or provoke her in some other way and then take off. She wants Mulan to chase her so that she can maneuver them into water. Moana is not an amazing swimmer, and she's not going to have any magical powers when it comes to this water, because remember, this isn't the ocean. Moana has ocean magic, not just any water magic. She's not Elsa. But I don't think Mulan can even swim. Moana can at least swim, and I think she knows that water might be her best chance to take out Mulan with a trap rather than with hand-to-hand combat. Mulan is too smart for this. Mulan does not chase. She plots, she plans, she lies in wait, she ambushes. She doesn't chase.
No, I don't run.
Mulan is gonna hunker down. She's gonna go full PETA, camouflage and disguise herself and hunker down. Can I just say that the Hunger Games movies are one of the best book to movie adaptations I've ever seen, in my opinion. Like, they did such a good job at translating the really weird aesthetics in those books into something that made sense visually on screen. And of course, getting at like the core, the heart, the themes of the story and not getting caught up in the trappings too much. They are such good movies. And I can't understand why they dropped the ball so hard with Peeta's camouflage.
Oh my god, Peeta!
Did this make sense to them? Did this make sense to them? If you haven't seen this movie, this is a person who is like hiding on a riverbank and he sort of disguised himself. He has no tools for this. Okay, I want to be clear. He does not have like a cosplay paint set. He has the raw physical materials around him. And the in-canon explanation for how he is able to pull off this transformation, how he's able to go full Zeke Aaron McKinney, 4th grader.
I'm Peeta in the Hunger Games. No one can see me.
Is that at home, his family has a bakery and he decorates the cakes. So you can see by the transitive property, using a piping bag of frosting means that he can make himself rock. This story appears in the books, but he's using like mud. He uses plants and mud and things that you can like manipulate and smear around you. He uses that to perfectly disguise himself. And yeah, it's still a little goofy. I don't understand how they happen. This is nothing. This is nothing. Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest. Anyway, Mulan she's taking the mud route more than the Ben Nye route. So what we have now is a situation where the 4 remaining tributes are all separately hiding and just lying in wait. Moana is trying to draw out Mulan. Mulan is lying in wait to ambush. Pocahontas has scuttled up a tree. Tiana's just kind of hanging out. Everybody's standing still. And this is so funny for a few minutes. But remember that the people designing and controlling the game are incentivized to keep it interesting. And they're not going to accept this. After a couple hours, they will decide they need to shake things up. They are going to intervene to force the tributes back together. This is something we do see them do in the stories. So they will either provide a carrot by offering like a feast, by offering supplies or weapons that the tributes really need to try to get them to come out, or they're going to have a stick and they are going to impose some sort of force of nature or creature or natural disaster that will force everybody to move. I think it's more likely they're going to do the second one because, like I said, it's only been a couple days. Everyone's pretty well supplied. And when things come to a head, unfortunately, Tiana is going to be out first of those 4. She's been doing a really good job surviving, but she just doesn't have the same combat skills. She is not as fast as the other 3. In this final 3, the person who comes out on top is going to be the person that does the best job of thinking about multiple things at once. And that's going to be Mulan. I think Mulan is going to keep her head, keep her tactical brain running long enough that she knows she has to evade the present threat while also maneuvering herself, positioning herself in relation to the other 2. She is going to wait until Pocahontas and Moana have encountered each other, and when they fight, she is going to be ready to take out the winner, and she is going to be willing to do what it takes. So Mulan is the winner of the Hunger Games. I used my time well. All right, I'm pulling out the mermaid tiara, but I can't wear it for too long because it's extremely heavy and will give me a headache. But I can't resist, it's so shiny. So we've run a few scenarios, and I think we've really gotten a pretty good picture of who's going to win in a fight. But you could argue that the scenarios I've chosen so far, Hunger Games notwithstanding, are very heavily weighted towards brawn. But what about brains? Okay, don't brains count for anything? I sound like myself in college. Belle has been doing really poorly in almost all of these scenarios, but she is very bright. And you do have to wonder if she is going to think of a way to get an advantage even if she doesn't have the brute strength. Now, if we are picking competitions that are knowledge-based or intellectual, Bella's going to come out on top most of the time. She's winning trivia, she's winning academic decathlon, she's winning a spelling bee. Rapunzel will get second place on the spelling bee unless she gets any words that weren't in her 3 books, in which case probably the next would be Jasmine. Belle has the highest SAT score. She's going to score the best on the driver's test. On board game night, Belle is going to do really well against these other girls. She definitely wins Settlers of Catan. She wins Clue about 50% of the time. Rapunzel wins the other 50% of the time because Rapunzel's going to be quite good at Clue, but she's going to do a thing where she narrows it down to 2 options, and then she's going to get really excited and want to win and also get nervous that someone else is going to scoop her, that someone else is going to get it right while she's waiting to narrow down those last 2. So she's just going to pick one. She's just going to go for her 50-50 shot and take it. So 50% of the time Rapunzel's going to win. Yes, this is what I do. This is my strategy when I play Clue. No, it has never once worked, but I will continue to do it. On board game night, Rapunzel will win chess. If this group plays Monopoly, the best players are going to be Belle, Tiana, Jasmine, and Merida. So they're going to be good. The rest is luck. Monopoly is a lot luck, so it's a kind of a coin toss between those four. You know how you use your four-sided coin to determine things? Belle might do okay at card games like poker or pinochle, but there is a social element. You have to be able to read others. You have to control your own facial expressions. You have to be able to predict others' behavior, and she's not going to be very good at that. Most card games are going to go maybe Pocahontas, Tiana, potentially Mulan. I mean, they are kind of tactical. Thinking about these games and thinking about the Hunger Games has also made me think about reality shows. We actually have a lot of examples of games that go down to one person that have very clearly delineated rules that usually have about 13 contestants. So let's run those scenarios, okay? You've got The Bachelor. And if you're going to tell me it depends on The Bachelor, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's going to be Cinderella. But Belle, Jasmine, and Tiana are going to be runners-up, and they are all going to get spun off into their own Bachelorette seasons. Most of these girls would never make it onto America's Next Top Model, but let's say they did, they were all on a season. That's going to go to Jasmine. Project Runway will be Rapunzel.
Go dress.
Dancing with the Stars, also Rapunzel.
Up in a ballet.
Drag Race, Mulan. American Idol will be Ariel, but The Voice will be Moana. Any cooking show is going to be Tiana. I think she's going to win the really intense American ones and the cozy ones. American Ninja Warrior and all associated games, that's going to be Raya. But I think we all know we're wasting time talking about these other shows, talking about these other reality competition games. There's only one that really matters here. Okay, there's one that is the show. There's one that perfectly combines the physicality, the raw brawn that we were talking about, and also the survival skills that we're talking about, but also the intelligence, the brains, the problem solving, the puzzle solving, the social aspect. One game has that all tied up in a cute little bow. Let's play Survivor! I've given this a lot of thought. Survivor is multifaceted, right? That's what makes it so beautiful. There is a physical, athletic component. There is a wilderness survival component, but it is above all a social game. The mechanisms for how you advance or get kicked out of the game are 100%, well, not 100% because there's immunity, are primarily social. It's interesting to think about how these girls might do in a social game because they all are, in some way, quite likable. Most of them are very charming. However, most of them do not have great people skills. Some of them, like Snow White or Rapunzel or Jasmine or even Aurora, had very unusual childhoods where they were very isolated and they missed some really prime developmental time to figure out how to talk to other human beings. Especially Rapunzel. The fact that Rapunzel can converse competently with other human beings stretches credulity. But she can. This is what we're working with. But I do think a good number of these girls had weird upbringings that have given them a disadvantage socially. And some of these girls are just not good socially. They are either actively unpleasant, or they don't work great in groups, or they hate women. That's going to be tough in a game where the other competitors can vote you out, or to win, you have to get other people to vote for you.
You get people to like you.
Raya is going to be an absolute beast in the physical challenges, but she is going to completely alienate all of her tribe mates and have a hard time advancing because of that. But on the other hand, somebody like Snow White, who is very personable, is going to get along great with a lot of her tribe mates, is going to be in danger of getting kicked out because she's terrible in the challenges. Her tribe mates may want to kick her out so that they can do better in challenges, but she's probably so helpful around camp. Right? She's probably assisting with the cooking or the maintenance of the camp, and that can be really important, especially early on in the game. This is all complicated by the structure of the game, starting as a team game and ending as an individual game. If you've never seen Survivor, first of all, go watch Survivor. But if you've never seen it, they start by splitting everybody into 2 or 3 teams. The teams compete against each other in challenges that are usually primarily physical, but they might have puzzles, they might have other tricky elements, they might require teamwork or endurance. You want your tribe to do well at these challenges because if you win a reward challenge, say, you get a reward, you get supplies or comfort items or food. And in an immunity challenge, if you lose, then your team has to go to tribal council and vote out a member of the tribe. So you'd think in the early game, you want to keep around people who are good in the challenges. You want to keep around the strongest and the fastest people so that you don't lose again. You also probably want to keep around people who are good in camp, who are good at making the shelter or catching fish, because times are tough. They've put them all on an island. Did I mention that? They're on an island. They gotta make a little shelter with bamboo and stuff, and then they make rice. However, partway through the game, once they've whittled down the competitors a little bit, they merge. All of the tribes merge into one, and now instead of competing team against team, your challenges are every person for themselves. When it comes time for tribal council, everybody goes. The winner of the immunity challenge, which remember is just one person now, they don't get to skip, but they do get to be safe. They get a special necklace. That means no votes for them count. Well, suddenly, your incentives seem to have flipped. Now it's in your best interest to vote out the people who are best in challenges, who are fastest or strongest or best at puzzles, because you want to win them. When you get down to the final three, they bring back the jury of all the most recent people to be voted out, and they together vote on the winner. So when you're trying to get into that final three, it's actually in your best interest not to vote out people who are weakest or strongest, but to vote out the people who are most well-liked, who are considered the most deserving. You want to sit next to people who are lazy or unpleasant or bad at the game, because then everyone's going to vote for you instead. The tricky part, of course, is that everybody knows that is the trajectory of the season. That's the rhythm of things. That's how your incentives change. Everybody knows. Pretty soon, people start anticipating the next stage of the game. They're in their separate tribes, and you're supposed to want a strong tribe, but people start thinking, wait a minute, my tribe mate is super strong and super good at challenges. We should vote them out now. Even though it makes being in this tribe tougher, I don't know if we'll get a chance to vote them out later. The timeline of the strategy gets more and more compressed until it gets to the point where people arrive on the beach on day one and are thinking about that final tribal and are looking for the most unpleasant or ill-deserving people to sit next to. So in our little simulation that we're about to run, our little thought exercise of Survivor for Princesses, I'm going to imagine this is like kind of middle of the lifespan of Survivor. We are going to start on 2 tribes, we are going to go to a final 3, and we will have hidden immunity idols after the merge. But that's it. No other funny business, no second lives, no exile island, just the game in its purest form, which to me includes a single immunity idol because I think that's fun. So we're going to start with our 2 tribes. How exactly this all shakes out will depend on the makeup of those initial tribes, so I just opened a random number generator. The tribes in Survivor are not randomly generated, they are very specifically hand-picked by the producers, but I feel like any way I do it is going to be kind of engineering the ending I want, so I just randomized it. I named our tribes after the first person I drew in each tribe, so the Bow tribe is going to be Merida, Mulan, Jasmine, Moana, Rapunzel, and Aurora. And then our Slipper tribe is going to be Cinderella, Belle, Snow White, Tiana, Ariel, Pocahontas, and Raya. This leaves us with uneven tribes, which Survivor would never do, but we're imagining in this situation they did. And I think what they would do if they had chosen to do that would be an immediate beachside tribal. As soon as you land, surprise, you are voting somebody out. They sometimes like to do that, like a shock tribal where you have no time to plan. And it's really bad news for Raya that she ended up on the tribe with an extra person, because Raya alone of all these girlies is going to be immediately antisocial and unpleasant. Most of her tribe mates are not going to be thinking about the strategy of this. They're just going to be thinking about the fact that they don't want to live with this person. So Snow White, Cinderella, Belle, and Pocahontas are all voting for Raya. Raya, Tiana, and I think Ariel are going to be immediately looking for the weak link, the person that's going to be the worst in challenges. So they're all going to vote for Snow White. But of course, the numbers go to Raya. Raya is booted off the island. I feel like I'm gonna look mean for saying that because I said that I don't feel like Raya should be a Disney princess because she shouldn't. I have nothing against her. She's a perfectly good character. But I'm sorry, they voted her off. That's what they did. Don't shoot the messenger. So these are our two teams. Tribe Bow is definitely going to win that first immunity challenge, so Tribe Slipper is going to Tribal. Everybody knows that Ariel and Tiana voted for Snow and the Beachside Tribal Council, and they're going to be honest about their reasons that they think she's just the weak link. In fact, everybody's going to be pretty transparent about this. I don't know that it's going to occur to any of these girlies that they should really be that hush-hush about it. They literally tell Snow White that this is the plan, and Snow White understands why. And I think she tries to be a team player and vote for herself, and Jeff has to tell her that's not allowed. So instead, she votes for Pocahontas, whom she has nothing against. She just doesn't really get her vibe. For the next challenge, Tribe Bow has to sit somebody out, so they have even numbers, and they're going to sit out Aurora. Right now, I think the tribes are fairly evenly matched as far as challenges go, because Bow is more athletic overall, but Slipper's no slouch. Like, they have some good athletic ability, and they have really good team cohesion at the moment. So Slipper's gonna win this immunity challenge, and Tribe Bow has to go to Tribal. Now, these girls have had a few nights now on the island where they haven't been going to Tribal, so they have time to prepare for this. And most of them haven't, but Mulan and Moana did, and similar to the Hunger Games scenario, the two of them are gonna team up. Jasmine knows they're gunning for her, but there's really nothing she can do. The tribes are even again. They are both at 5 players, and normally about here, Survivor would merge the tribes, but we are working with so few people that we're going to stretch it out a little more. Anyway, Tribe Bow, which does kind of have the edge in challenges, I think they're going to be really anxious for a win today. They do not want to go back to Tribal, so they're going to have a little more power in the tank, and they are going to take the win, which means Tribe Slipper is going to Tribal, and things are going to get a little contentious about who it is that lost them that challenge. Belle and Ariel are both doing kind of poorly in the challenges. Also, Tiana has started making a little noise about the fact that the two of them are not helpful around camp, which they're not. Tiana and Cinderella have complained to each other about this. They have formed a real alliance. They also bring Pocahontas on board to make a voting block of 3. Choosing between Ariel and Belle, they pick to vote out Belle because she's more unpleasant to be around because of how she hates women so bad. Belle and Ariel, I think, are able to get together and vote together, and they vote Pocahontas because they just don't get her vibe, but to no avail. Belle goes home, and the tribes merge. We are now one tribe. It is a new tribe. We're calling it Tribe Tiara, not that it matters. In this group of 9, we basically have 2 alliances that are both pairs. Ariel really hits it off with Rapunzel. The two of them get along so good. They are instantly besties. Now, in the individual challenges, who wins is really going to be dependent on what kind of challenge it is. The individual challenges are often endurance challenges, but there are also a lot that are about speed, that are obstacle courses, and there are often puzzles involved. Mulan is obviously going to be extremely good at most of these challenges. She's got the athleticism, she's got the strategy, she's going to be pretty good at the puzzles. Merida and Moana will both be pretty strong, but it will be very dependent on the challenge. I'll also say that Pocahontas will do well. She's super fast, she's a good climber, and you can't discount Cinderella because she's got the focus, she's got the balance, she's got the command of her body, and a lot of these challenges are just going to be holding a really uncomfortable position for a long time, so any of those are going to go to Cinderella. And in fact, I'm going to say that for our purposes, the first immunity challenge is going to be one of those where you have to really outlast the other competitors, so the immunity is going to go to Cinderella. Now it's time to go to Tribal. Mulan and Moana have picked up on the fact that this other alliance exists and they need to disrupt it. Everybody but 3 votes for Tiana, and Tiana plays the hidden immunity idol. After the merge, all of the girls were made aware that there would be a hidden immunity idol on the island, and Tiana was the only one who really absorbed that and knew she had to get to work. She has been doing her duties at camp and then clocking into her second shift, scouring the forest for idols. She is not the only one that's been looking, but she is the one who has put in the most hours and has the most attention to detail, so she's the one that finds it. Tiana decides she wants to go after Moana, because Moana's in that other alliance. She seemed to be part of instigating the vote on Tiana, and she did very, very well in that first immunity challenge. So that is all they need. Moana goes home. The next individual challenge is more of a brutal physical competition, and that's gonna go to Mulan. And actually, it's gonna make people start thinking they probably should have gotten Mulan. Tiana and Cinderella would kind of like to vote for Mulan, but they can't, so they go for Rapunzel, who seems to be voting with Mulan a lot of the time, but more than anything is very unpredictable. So it's shaping up to be 5-3 Pocahontas to Rapunzel. But where's the idol? That alliance of three, Cinderella, Tiana, and Pocahontas, absolutely do go looking for it again. Now that they know what they're looking for and they are working together as a team, they find it actually kind of easily. And you know who sees this coming? Mulan. Mulan can't seem to find the idol. She's pretty sure from observation that alliance of three has it, and she's not willing to take the chance, so she's gonna split the vote. Rapunzel and Ariel seem pretty set on voting for Pocahontas and telling everybody that they're gonna vote for Pocahontas, so she's gonna leave that be. Mulan instead is going to tell Aurora and Merida, don't tell anybody, but we're voting for Tiana. And they do. And Pocahontas plays the idol for herself because as far as she's aware, that's who all the votes are going for. But actually, we are tied 3-3, Tiana and Rapunzel. So everybody has to vote again, voting either Tiana or Rapunzel, which means Tiana goes home. The next challenge is going to be some real nonsense obstacle course with ropes, high ropes course and puzzles and leaping and jumping and all that. It's going to be something that requires not necessarily athleticism, but like acrobatics. And so actually Rapunzel is going to take immunity. And with the location of the idol unclear, the best thing to do is, again, split the vote. So Mulan spreads the word that she's going to vote for Pocahontas. As far as she's aware, she and Merida and Aurora and also Rapunzel and Ariel are all going to vote Pocahontas. Rapunzel and Ariel don't really want to vote with Mulan's group anymore. They don't like that they were lied to at the last tribal. Cinderella and Pocahontas obviously want to take this time to take out Mulan because she is a huge challenge threat and she's been kind of puppeteering a lot of these votes, so they want to get her while they can. And Rapunzel and Ariel think that sounds good. They decide to go after Mulan as well. So it seems like we're going to have a 4-3 split. Now Mulan, of course, is not actually voting for Pocahontas. She's going to try the same trick she did last time, where she tells everybody one thing and then her closer group of three is going to vote for somebody else. So actually, they're going to go and take out Ariel. I think they'd probably take Rapunzel if given the chance, but she has immunity. But because of the last tribal, a lot of people really caught wise to some of the dynamics in the game. And in particular, Pocahontas is able to do the math and also realizes that she does not know the location of the idol. She knows nobody in her alliance found it, which means the other alliance probably found it, which means they can't vote for who they said they're going to vote for. Instead of voting Mulan, they're going to vote for Merida. They try to keep this very secret. Pocahontas just tells Cinderella and Ariel. Obviously, Ariel tells Rapunzel, and Rapunzel tells everyone. Nobody plays the idol, and Merida goes home. Interestingly, the idol is in the possession of Ariel, who has it and has not told anybody because she has squirreled it away into a little hidey hole where she can sneak away to see it and admire it because it's so pretty. So Merida goes home, now we're down to 6, and roughly speaking, we are in 3 pairs. Next immunity challenge is going to Mulan. Again, she really means business now. Mulan wants to get Cinderella. Cinderella is not somebody she wants to sit next to. She is well-liked. She's good around camp. She does have at least 1 immunity win. So Mulan and Aurora are voting for Cinderella. Ariel and Rapunzel don't really want to do that. They would rather vote for Aurora, who is not that helpful around camp and who they find really boring. Cinderella and Pocahontas hear the way those two are voting, so they say, let's work together. Everybody is happy that Mulan won't have this sort of extra vote that she's bringing along. 4-2, Aurora goes home. No idol is played because remember, Ariel has it secretly. And we are on to the final 5. The challenge is going to be something that requires real fast thinking. There's going to be puzzles, but also a lot of running around. This is going to be Mulan again. Mulan lost some challenges early on that were designed to kind of spread things out, but most of these she's gonna win. Mulan, again, would like to take out Cinderella. She does not want to sit next to her at the final tribal, but the 2 wild cards, the 2 besties, they don't want to vote for Cinderella. They'd rather vote for Pocahontas. Mulan is happy to get on board with that and to get that magic number of 3. Cinderella and Pocahontas are looking at the numbers and kind of know they're screwed, but it's been a few days now since Ariel found the idol. She has not lasted this long without finally cracking and telling her bestie she has an immunity idol, and Rapunzel absolutely tells Pocahontas. I think she tries. I think at this point, Ariel has discovered it's important to keep this secret, so she tells Rapunzel, don't tell anybody. But Rapunzel is going to let it slip sometime over the course of a day, especially since she's voting for Pocahontas, but she doesn't feel good about it. She doesn't want her to go. Pocahontas is able to pick up on what's going on, and she goes to Ariel and makes a deal that she will take Ariel with her to the final if she shares her idol in this moment. Ariel does it not because she's thinking tremendously strategically, but because she just likes making a deal. It seems like a good deal. It seems like, you know, she has something, she needs something. I think most of these girls just want to be friends. Pocahontas sticks to her word. She does not vote for Ariel as promised, but she knows that Ariel did not understand what this would mean, which is that Pocahontas and Cinderella are voting for her bestie Rapunzel. It's 3-2 Pocahontas to Rapunzel, but with the idol played, Rapunzel goes home. That means our final four are Mulan, Ariel, Cinderella, and Pocahontas, and at that final immunity challenge, Mulan takes it again. That vote is split 2-2, and so they go to fire. They go to a fire-making challenge. Cinderella makes fire first, Ariel goes home,
What's a fire?
and the final three is Mulan, Pocahontas, and Cinderella. The jury comes back, and I'm gonna say the jury are all the people that were eliminated after the merge. So we have a jury of 6. And in the Grand Survivor tradition, one person in this final three is getting no votes. I just don't think Pocahontas is getting any votes. I think she was perfectly well liked. She just didn't have any challenge wins, didn't do any impressive moves, and a lot of the other girls just don't get her vibe. Cinderella will get a couple votes. Tiana is definitely going to stay true to that alliance and vote for her. And I also think Aurora is going to vote for Cinderella. I think Aurora likes Cinderella more and feels that she does deserve it. But I think the other girls are all going to recognize that Mulan had the most immunity challenge wins. Mulan did the most like orchestrating and dodging and weaving at tribals. Mulan, you know, she outwit, she outplay and outlast. So Mulan wins and great, good for her. But a lot kind of had to go her way for that to be the outcome. And there were a lot of moments that could have gone a different way. Like, I just kind of threw out what I felt like the challenges would be, but if the challenges came in a different order or there was a different sequence of winning, Mulan might have gone home at some points. And of course, a ton depended on that initial distribution of teams. That luck of the draw of which tribe you were on does have a huge effect. For example, with Raya, if Raya is on the bigger team that has a beach tribal council, she is basically always going to go home first, however you shake it. But if she gets past that initial hurdle and she gets a tribe that wants to keep her around to win challenges, she can get decently far. So I did run the scenario an additional 15 times. I figured out that I could actually do it really fast if I wrote out the names of all the princesses and then just sort of played it out on a table, like when she plays chess against herself in the Queen's Gambit. Something's really wrong with me. But I had a great time. I wondered while I was doing it if you could write a computer program that would do it, and I think it would, but I'd have to really get into the nitty-gritty of the variables involved. Who wins in a challenge might be a simple equation, but who votes for whom is not as simple as they will always vote for X person. So running it that same way 15 more times with the same sort of guesses about what the challenges look like, the same sequence of tribals and when the merge is and all of that, there were only ever 4 princesses that won. Merida won 1 game. It was like real specific circumstances that led to Merida winning. Mulan did win a few more. She won 3 of that 15, but that's by no means most of them. Cinderella won several times. She won 4 games. I think the fact that she's so good in those endurance challenges is really huge because those can come at a really clutch moment, and she's going to play a pretty good social game. The problem is, I think Mulan is the most deserving of winning. Like, she's going to play the best all-around game, the best challenge game, the best social game. She has in her source material a demonstrated ability to lie and deceive that almost none of the other girls have that's going to come in very helpful for her. But the problem is Survivor is kind of designed in such a way that the person who's most deserving can almost never win. It's kind of the fatal flaw of the game. And it does happen sometimes, but usually the person that the audience feels is the most deserving is going to be eliminated at like the final 5 because of that thing I was telling you earlier, that people start to anticipate the strategies of future parts of the game. You don't want to sit next to somebody who's really good at Survivor, who played a great game and is really likable and good at challenges. You'll never beat them, so you want to get them out at like the final 5 or 6. And this happened to Mulan a lot. Everybody knew that she was the one to beat, which meant that if there was ever a moment where she lost a challenge, which did sometimes happen, she would be out. One of the only ways she can squeak by that, like she did in the scenario we just ran, is if she loses some initial challenges and then wins them later on when it's too late. It also depends hugely on who she's able to form an initial alliance with. Usually the people who end up winning Survivor are not the absolute best players of the season, but often pretty good. And that kind of was the case here. In 8 of those 15 simulations I ran, the win went to Moana, who I don't think is a bad player at all. She has a super good understanding of group dynamics. She is really good with people. She's going to be able to form a one-on-one alliance very, very well every single time. And she is no slouch in challenges. She's great around camp. She's a really solid player, but she's maybe the like 2nd or 3rd best player in the group, which means that almost every time she is the best player in the final 3. So if you were wondering, that's who wins Disney Princess Survivor. So I've now found myself in a little bit of a pickle because my analysis has been 100% true and correct and factual and indisputable, of course, but I'm feeling pretty bad for some of the girls that have really just been dumped on this whole video. I'm glad Mulan is racking up wins. I do love her, but I also love Aurora and Snow White, and they haven't been winning anything. Sure, they can't fight, but they're not trying to fight. That's not their job. Their job is princess. And I think they do it very well. I sometimes talk about Disney Princess as a job, like there's a character from a movie, but then they've been plucked out to do the job of Disney princessing. And some of them are better at princessing than others. For example, I feel very strongly that part of being a Disney princess is having great outfits. A Disney princess should have several outfit changes and they should all be great. I don't know why Disney stopped doing this, but Princess and the Frog, which was itself meant to be kind of a throwback, Princess and the Frog was the last time we got a proper wardrobe for a Disney princess. I love Rapunzel. I love Moana. Raya is here also, but why are they all in the same outfit the entire movie? Rapunzel and Moana wear the same outfit the entire time, and then at the very end, they change into a really, really similar outfit, just like a slightly different version of their main outfit. You can try to tell me it doesn't make sense for them to have a big wardrobe, that it wouldn't make sense in the story for them to be changing clothes, but that is a skill issue. There's no reason for Aurora to change clothes. There's no reason for the fairies to change her from her regular clothes into the grand gown to walk to the castle. Like, change when you get there. There's no reason for Snow White to be wearing what she's wearing. You ever think about that? It makes no sense for her to be in those clothes. We see her at the beginning of the movie in her peasant outfit, in her tattered maid outfit, because she's being deliberately humiliated, right? The queen wants her dressed shabbily and looking like a servant. This is great. I understand why this character in this world, in this story, is dressed this way. But then the next time we see her, she's wearing this outfit. So presumably what has happened is that off-screen, unseen to us, the huntsman goes to Snow White, this, adult man hunter goes to this little girl and is like, we're gonna go outside. You can come pick flowers. And she's like, great, 1 minute, let me change into my flower picking dress. Why does she have this? How does she have access to this, like, perfectly pristine, richly dyed, well-fitted garment? I don't know why she would dress up to go flower picking, but I guess I'm willing to forgive that because she is a small child who doesn't get to do anything fun. I guess if she has one pretty dress, she's gonna put it on the one time she gets to go outside the castle. But who gave her the pretty dress? Did the queen give it to her so she would dress up for her own assassination? Why does she have a cape? I'm just saying, if Snow White can wear this, then Rapunzel can have a couple spare dresses in her closet, okay? She has a closet. Remember, there's a person in her closet.
I've got a person in my closet.
And I think nothing else. I think Flynn is the only thing in that closet. I don't think there's other dresses in there. I understand that Moana and Pocahontas have their specific historical and cultural context, and it wouldn't make sense for them to have like a bunch of outfits in all different colors. But that doesn't mean they have one exact outfit that they wear 24/7. It would be totally reasonable in their context to have a couple garments, maybe garments that can be worn slightly different ways, maybe decoration or accessories that are slightly different. I just think it's a skill issue. I think if you want your princess to have multiple outfits, you can figure it out. And it baffles me that they don't do that, because at the end of the day, you're in the business of fantasy and imagination and enchanting young children and also selling dolls and selling Halloween costumes. Would it kill you to do a wardrobe change? I mentioned that Tiana was the last time we got a great Disney princess wardrobe, and she actually has the most outfits, the most number of distinct outfits out of any of the Disney princesses. The exact number is going to depend how you count. Is it 2 outfits with and without the coat, or is this all 1 outfit? I'm gonna say she has 11 and a half. You could argue she has up to 13, 14 if you count the frog. After that, you have Ariel and Mulan, who both have about 7 outfits each, and then Cinderella and Jasmine have about 5. In fact, everybody except Pocahontas can clock in with at least 2, because they either have a victory look at the very end of the movie, like Moana, or they have an outfit they wore as a child, like Raya. Honestly, most of these girls don't have enough. I think a Disney princess should have at least 5 different outfits. 6 or more would be ideal. In fact, let's establish categories. I think we should see a town dress or work outfit of some kind. We should get to see their nightgown or sleepwear. We should see a victory look or a wedding dress at the end of the movie. We should see a ball gown or some other really impressive formal outfit, something with wow factor, something with a little razzle dazzle. And I think there should be a wild card. I think they should at least once in the movie wear something truly bananas and unhinged. And only 3 girls managed to do all that. That's Mulan, Tiana, and my girl Ariel. You know what? This can all be quantified. This can all be measured, okay? Let's get a spreadsheet going. Which Disney princess is the Princessest? Okay, time for very important science. We have our 13 girlies, and this is the total number of outfits they have in their movie of origin. We're not talking about sequels, we're not talking about TV. But I think instead of giving points for just number of outfits, I'm gonna give 1 point for having an outfit in all of the categories I mentioned. And Raya has literally none of this, no points for Raya. It's pretty clear who's winning on the outfit front, at least when it comes to variety and quantity. You know what? I'm also going to give them a point if they have a tiara or a crown of some kind. You know what else a Disney princess needs? She needs to be able to sing. She needs to sing in her movie, and everyone is gonna pass this except for Raya. Merida is passing by the skin of her teeth. Her movie is not a musical, and I really feel that a Disney princess movie should be a musical, but there is music in it. We do get the characters singing. You know what else a Disney princess needs? She needs an animal companion and at least 1 dead parent. And it's just going to be 1 point for having at least 1 dead parent. You get no extra points for being an orphan. I also believe that a Disney princess needs to have a special skill and a special interest or hobby. And this can be the same thing, but it has to be something she both enjoys doing and is really invested in, and something she's good at. I'm also going to add having an affinity with nature. This is different from having an animal companion, but if you can just communicate with animals, if animals really love you, if you connect with them deeply, I think that counts. But this can also be in relation to flora. This can be you're really into plants, you're really into the natural world. I think this is a very important part of being a Disney princess, and most of these girls have it. I also feel a Disney princess movie should have a proper old school classic villain. I'm talking about evil stepmothers. I'm talking about dark witches and wizards. I'm not talking about like Tamatoa. Okay? I'm not talking about the concept of colonialism. I would also like this movie to end in a capital V victory for our princess, okay? Not just a kind of happy ending, okay? Not just a win, like a win so enormous it boggles the mind. She needs to get everything she wanted and then a bunch of other things she didn't even know she wanted, okay? A Disney princess capital V victory needs to leave the haters weeping. There are some other important story elements that I'm just gonna sum up by saying this story needs to be a fairy tale at heart. It can either be based on an actual fairy tale and retain a lot of the fairy tale essence, or it can be a new story that Disney made up, as long as it has the feel of a fairy tale. We have to be talking about a fundamentally simple story that uses images and symbols that are stocks of the fairy tale trade, and there simply has to be magic. This has to be a world with magic, and magic being used either by or against the princess has to be core to the story. And I think all of these stories are fairy tales at heart, except for Pocahontas and Raya and the Last Dragon. And I also think, I'm sorry, there needs to be a love interest. There needs to be a love story of some kind, and it doesn't have to end with them married, but it does have to be there. I don't need all Disney movies to be romances. I think it's great that we have more variety in stories. We've got movies like Brave, like Moana, where there's no love interest. I like that kids have that they can see these female characters outside of the context of romantic relationships and exploring different kinds of narrative. I think that's so great. But I'm not talking about all movies all the time. I'm talking about princesses. I'm talking about my Disney princess movies, and is it so much to ask for a tiny bit of smooching? Is it so much to ask for the people in these movies to express pure and uncomplicated and non-sexual love? I don't think that's too much to ask. So everybody gets a point for this, except for our 3 most recent. Okay, we've discussed a lot of qualities I would like these movies to have, but I think there's one last important one that we really need to drill down on. And that's whether or not these girls are princesses. You don't have to be a literal princess to be in the Disney Princess brand. That has literally always been the case since the brand's earliest days. And it's a thing people are wrong about all the time. And they come and try to correct me about that, so I have to come correct them back, okay? So I'm always talking about how you don't have to be a princess, but actually, I kind of think you should. I think you should have to be an actual literal princess. Or at the very least, you're gonna get a point in my princess ranking if you are. In fact, we're gonna ask this question 3 separate ways for 3 separate points. Is the princess called a princess in their movie of origin? And I'm going to say this also counts if the character they marry is referred to as a prince.
Once you became my wife, that made you
A princess.
Do I believe they would self-identify as a princess? Would they call themselves princess? Which is arguably the most important question.
First, I'm not a princess. I'm the daughter of the chief.
And lastly, do I think they are a princess? I mean, they're all princesses in my heart, but do I consider them an actual literal princess? All right, so we've checked some boxes. Look at this graph. I think the trends are pretty clear, just looking at the check boxes. But let's count up the totals. I took it away for drama, for suspense. Who's it gonna be? Who's gonna win? Who has the most points? Who's gonna come out on top? Out of 20 possible points, 2 girls came in with a perfect 2-0. And we know exactly who they are, don't we? It is Tiana and Ariel. Ariel, my favorite, and of course she is because she is mathematically, indisputably, scientifically, mathematically, grammatically the best. Tied with Tiana, who I also love. Cinderella, who is like the Disney princess, she is so close behind. She is at 19 points out of 20. And if I didn't have that column about them wearing something bananas, she would have had a perfect score. And it makes perfect sense, because would anyone really argue that these are the big 3? These are the big 3, and you know it. Actually, if we go ahead and make it a table, we can sort. We can list the girls, most to least princessest. And no one's gonna be surprised that on the very bottom is Raya. Raya, I love you. You're great. Why are you a Disney princess? She's actually tied with Pocahontas, though. Pocahontas and Raya are both at 8 out of 20. And while I think Pocahontas, her movie and her as a character, they are a better fit for the Disney Princess brand than Raya, she is deeply problematic in a way that Raya is not. Do I love Miss Pocahontas very much? Yes, I do. Do I think she fits well in the Disney Princess lineup? Not amazing, but better than Raya. Should they have made that movie? No. No, they should not. They did a bad thing. I have pretty complicated feelings about how the property of Pocahontas, the Disney princess, should be handled by the Disney company now that she exists, now that she's been in the Disney princess line. What to kind of do with her now. Feel weird about it. Makes me feel a lot of ways. But she's here now, and she gets 8 points. I'm sort of surprised Moana's so low because she's so great, but she doesn't have outfits. She doesn't have a love interest, and that really hurt her. Same thing with Merida. Merida's a great Disney princess, but you know, your parents aren't dead. She doesn't sing. What are you gonna do? Jasmine and Rapunzel weren't too shabby. They both got 15 out of 20. Okay, Aurora's coming in at 14. Not bad. Not bad. 75% is usually a passing grade. But girls, we're looking for perfect. We're looking for a Disney princess. Thank you so much for watching. It was so much fun making this video. I really enjoyed doing something that was just silly. If you're new here and would like to hear more, I have a couple more Disney princess related videos for you. And I have a lot of content, I mean hours of content, about the American Girl dolls and stories. If you would like to see more videos like this, you know how to do that. You do the clicky click, you do the like, you do the subscribe. And if you wish to, you can also join my amazing, delightful community over on Patreon. That's how you get in the credits, like these people, but it's also how you find some other people to yap with about princesses and American Girl and just pop culture silliness. It's how you can get sneak peeks to works in progress or early access to videos like this one. And it's how you can see bonus content like our book club, live streams that I do, and bonus videos that I'll occasionally drop. No, you're fine. It's just B-roll. I will definitely be attempting these again with salt.
Ah, the first part is always the best.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Talk it out. Divorce. Jasmine's red look absolutely counts as something bananas. That was truly wild.
Twisted.
And the whole time Jonathan is in the back of the frame just going, should I be up there with her? Am I part of this? Or should I just no? See you next time. And it's a spiritual relationship. It's not a physical one. It's not a physical. I did not have a physical relationship with the ocean. I feel weird today. Played because remember Aurora. And they're gonna have the understanding that they are each numbers, each we have Princess and the Frog was and talk about who is the most princess, who princesses the best, the most princess, who best Disney princess most. Which Disney princess is the Princessest? Some of these girls are main castle material, and some of them are little tiny ancillary castle material. Moana was chosen by the ocean, and then she learns to be a wayfarer. Do we count that as a special interest or hobby? Longing for the ocean? Is longing for the ocean a special interest? And see who scored highest on my not princess-o-meter. It's not a meter. My princess quantities. My princess points. That's cute. That's alliterative. My princess table. My princess matrix. Oh, what about Aurora?